favourites. For example, Mary Michelle Holland is here, handling our social media, and a very special guest. We've got Stéphane Henchoz, the former Liverpool defender, or should that be Henchoz, joining us as we have a bit of fun this Christmas. Sorry about that. We'll get to you in just a moment. We appreciate you being here. Let's get to what we're talking about on the show today. Of course, the weekend in the Premier League. Another late goal conceded, a 13-point gap at the top on Christmas Day. Bah humbug, says Mourinho. Are Klopp's Liverpool taking the whole gifting thing a little bit too far? Well, I can tell you we certainly are, as we're going to be suggesting a Christmas gift for players and clubs in need. OK, right, let's get straight to this one. Now, Michelle, thanks to our social media following, we've already had plenty of comments coming in for this Christmas Day special. So what can we expect from your mailbag?
Well, my iPad, actually. My iPad of goodies here, John. Yeah, as John said, lots coming up. And thanks to those of you who have been in touch already with your gift suggestions. More of those are on the way, but to give you a taster, Victor, I think it's pronounced, on Twitter, he's gifting the Ballon d'Or to Robin and a quadruple trophies there for Manchester City. Now, Santa might think one of those things has legs there after chalking up another crushing win against Bournemouth. So convincing were the citizens, it prompted Unton Tuco to ask this on Twitter: surely Man City have officially won the league? Yeah, well, I'll leave that for John and Stéphane to discuss. Needless to say, I'll be back a little later with a little help from some special Fox Sports helpers. Yes,
very good. Official, I don't think we can call it official just yet, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Before we talk about whether or not Manchester City are already the champions, Stéphane, tell me this: no snow in Switzerland for you this Christmas. Why have you come to Asia?
I think I've got enough snow in the last few years, I wanted some sunshine. And yeah, I like Singapore, I like the place. Never came with my family, so this time, I thought I will come with them, my son, my wife, so everybody's happy.
A tropical Christmas, it's wonderful for you. Tell me this, when you were playing, during those very successful years you enjoyed playing in Premier League football, did you enjoy it? Or did part of you think, hey, I should be on holiday right now?
To be honest with you, at first, I played in Hamburg in the Bundesliga. We had the winter break. Then I came to England in the Premier League. The first few years, I would say it was difficult to play over Christmas. When you're not used to, play Boxing Day and New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, it is difficult because you think you should be with your family on holiday. Yeah. And then you start to get used to it, then it's normal, and then you start to enjoy playing over Christmas.
And now, of course, you're on holiday with your family and you're watching Premier League football, which is something to watch, isn't it, even when you're on a break. Tell me about your career in English football. Obviously, Liverpool was the major highlight there, but you had those spells at Blackburn. You also had a really successful time with Wigan as well. But 72 caps for your country, as you mentioned, Neustadt, Zamax, Hamburg, then Blackburn and Liverpool. Now, I know that Liverpool season, that amazing season of trophies in 2001, all came about because of one reason. You came to Singapore on a pre-season, didn't you? And it sent you back and you won everything.
Definitely.
Was that the highlight that season?
Yeah, definitely. I would say, obviously, my years at Liverpool were the best years in terms of playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Yeah. And probably when I came, I was 25, left at 31, something like that. Yeah. So I was at my peak in terms of performance. And it was definitely the highlight.
All right, we're going to talk a lot about Liverpool a little bit later on in the second part of the show. But right now, let's turn our attention to the Boxing Day fixtures, which, of course, are just around the corner. Now, in terms of the title race, Manchester United probably again look to have the tougher assignment, even if they are at home. And that's just because of their sloppiness in recent games. City slickers roll into Tyneside. But you know what? I don't think they'll have it all their own way against Newcastle in that one. In terms of individuals, you've got to look out for the only man in town. That's Harry Kane. He can grab a record by scoring against Southampton to eclipse Alan Shearer's 22-year-old scoring record for club goals in a single season. So let's have a look at the league table. As a result of that win at Burnley, his hat-trick at Turf Moor got Spurs back in touch with that race for the top four, but the title race does look to be a foregone conclusion. There has never before been this 13-point gap between first and second on Christmas Day in the top flight. And really that's reflected in what we've been seeing in the newspapers, of course, in that tweet that Michelle read out earlier on. There you are, high flyers. They flew, they scored, they did it yet again. Another 4 goals for Manchester City. Is it over? Not officially, of course, but is that race already run before the end of the year?
I think it is. Like you said, 13 points and a goal difference. So I would say it's over because obviously, like everybody could see, they are playing so well. They are scoring goals. It's not a problem. I think the biggest difference with this season and the last one, it's that this year they're still, very good defensively. Last year we all said they concede too many goals. It is a problem, Pep Guardiola has to adapt to the Premier League. It's not only about attacking and scoring goals. This year they defend pretty well.
He's fixed it, but the other thing as well is it just looks so easy for them. Eddie Howe, the Bournemouth manager, said afterwards, a City game you just have to take as a one-off because they're obviously just a different team. He spoke also about the squad. They seem to have built a tremendous spirit because the other problem for Guardiola would be rotation. At the moment, it looks as if just about everybody's happy to be in and out the team.
I think at the moment he's got everything right. The balance is good. He can rotate. There is no problem when you rotate player in terms of performance because he's got a squad of so many talented players, so it's not a problem to rotate. They're winning games, so when you win games in terms of team spirit, it's not a problem to be on the bench one or twice.
Tell me about Manchester United right now. Of course, your great rivals, and of course, City's great rivals right now. Not so special one. Listen, you've got to feel sorry for Mourinho, because if you watch the Bristol City Cup game, then you watch that game at the weekend, they have chances to win the game. They let one in 90 plus minutes once again. No wonder he's unhappy. But he calls his players childish. Do you think it's a risky game he's playing?
It's Mourinho. That's the way it is. That's the way he manages sometimes. Sometimes he can be tough. To be honest, I don't think Man United is playing that well.
No.
If you compare with Man City, you like to see them play. Man United, in terms of performance, it's always, quite defensive. Yes, they can score goals, they create chances. At the moment, they don't take the opportunities, but they're not playing that well.
That's right. There was a bit of criticism aimed at Rashford for his decision-making. Obviously, Lingard had a great chance. Mourinho got some criticism for his substitutions. But the other really big talking point coming out of the last round of Premier League matches was this. Aguero, he's at it once again, 101 goals now at the Etihad, but Guardiola admitted that he might have to let the 29-year-old leave the club. Obviously, they're in a situation now where he has to compete with Gabriel Jesus for the striker's role. There's talk about Alexis Sanchez joining the club as well, Stefan, but it's kind of bizarre to me that they might consider the record all-time goal scorer deciding his own future and maybe saying, I'm going to leave the club.
I think sometimes we don't really know what happened in the inside story. We don't know how Aguero is feeling at the moment. Is he happy still to play for Man City? Is he happy to play in Europe, in England, the Premier League? Does he want to go back? Does his family be happy in Manchester? Maybe not. So that's why maybe Pep Guardiola is thinking we may need to sell him.
And he's being very honest in the way he's talking about it. The only thing, Michel, really is, and I put this one out, shouldn't they just do everything to keep him? I put it on Twitter earlier. What was the response like? Well,
let's have a look. Here's your tweet on Twitter, and if we scroll down, let's pick out a couple of responses to see how people feel about whether City can afford to let him go. Anne says, hope they let him stay till he himself announces his retirement and maybe wants to return to Argentina. At the moment, he's still his best, John. His instincts in front of goal, amazing. But Sumant thinks, they can afford to let him go if they get Sanchez.
Yeah, there is that. The only thing I'd say about this one is I was a big fan of Gabriel Jesus when he first came in at the start of the season. But if you ask me right now, the number one striker there is Sergio Aguero.
Yeah,
They're different, aren't they? And unlike all those other players, he is just an out-and-out striker, isn't he?
Yeah, Aguero is definitely in the top three in the world at the moment, in terms of really a striker. He can score, he can do everything, he's quick, he's powerful, he's strong. He doesn't need, too many opportunities to score. So at the moment, he's playing so well and he's scoring.
Right, Stefan, I'm going to ask you about another striker who had a fabulous weekend because, as I've alluded to already, Harry Kane was at it once again. Harry Christmas, yeah, of course. A hat-trick for him, remarkably his 7th of the calendar year. And what that means now is that he has a chance to overhaul Alan Shearer. Now, Shearer's record has stood in terms of the number of goals scored in a calendar year. That's club goals, Premier League goals. He needs one against Southampton in their last game of the year, and you wouldn't bet against him doing it. You played, Stefan, against some great strikers, all manner of great strikers. People look at Kane now and say he is the most complete one. Steven Gerrard yesterday said that he was a freakish goal scorer. What do you make of him?
I think Harry Kane is a top striker. like I said, you know, the most difficult striker to play against are the one who are complete. You know, sometimes you play against a striker, he's only quick. Yeah. So you know he's quick. Yeah. Sometimes he's only strong, he's good with his head, or he's got a powerful shot, but he doesn't have everything. When you play Harry Kane, he's got everything. Can score left, right, header, strong, can hold the ball. So the only thing I would say about him, he needs now to be, you need a top striker to perform at the higher stage. Yeah. So he needs to perform at the World Cup next year, or to go further in the Champions League with Spurs and score goals.
That's a very good point, because I kind of thought people might be saying that, Michelle, when I got back on Twitter and asked about his status in world terms.
That's exactly right. And I had a look at your tweet where you asked, is he the best out-and-out striker in the world right now? And if we scroll down, those sentiments are kind of echoed. So Vincent says, I think in England, yes. But if we look at IAO here, no. For him to earn that title, he has to do what he does in the English League on the continental and world stage.
Yeah, and that's absolutely it, isn't it? Because you can speak from a position of being qualified. It changes, doesn't it? When you translate, I mean, Shearer will probably be the same thing. He did it for country as well.
Yep.
And so maybe that's the next step for Kane.
I think it will be the next step if he wants to be the best, you know, English striker, and then maybe one day the best in the world. You need to perform at the highest stage, and the highest stage is the Champions League. So you need to reach the final, maybe win it, or you need, you know, to perform at the World Cup, and it's the same. You need to reach the final or even be a World Cup winner.
All right, Stefan, take a little breather, because it's time for us to take a break. Now, we couldn't have a former Liverpool great come to our studio and not talk about Liverpool. You have to talk about them, particularly after what they got up to against Arsenal the other night. That is next. Welcome back and Merry Christmas, everybody. In case you hadn't guessed it, it is that time of the year. Michelle Holland is actually rocking a piece of festive decoration and looking quite good, whereas I've just looked ridiculous. Fortunately, we have Stefan Onshaw looking sensible, serious, good, and able to keep things on the straight and narrow right now. Although, Stefan, I've got to say right now, as much fun as we're having, I don't know if Liverpool fans are having a great deal of fun. I don't think they're going to look upon any more festive generosity from Jurgen Klopp's side against Swansea tomorrow, following that crazy 5 minutes in their last game against Arsenal. They gave the game away from a position of absolute dominance. And look, crackers, said one of the newspapers there. I was very interested in the way a lot of journalists but also experts reacted to this one. I'd like to talk about Robbie Fowler here. Now, obviously, Robbie, you know, is so passionate about Liverpool, and his column in the Mirror for me really got it. He said that Liverpool went from being in swaggering control to a shambling, nervous wreck with just one goal. He said Liverpool seem to think that when you get one goal against them, it's trouble, and there's a problem with their mentality. What I found really interesting in this one was that he came to the conclusion that Jurgen Klopp, who has been consistently saying, I'm not Mourinho, I'm not this, I don't encourage my players to manage the game, that he needs to change. He needs to get them to be a little bit more professional when it comes to leading, right?
Probably, I would say. And I would say Robbie is right. You can't, you know, concede a goal, you know, can happen. But concede 2 goals, 3 goals in a space of, 8 minutes, I think it was the other day. Yeah. It's just not possible, not at the top level. So you need to manage the game better. The only thing I would say, sometimes the manager, you know, he can't really influence the game. Sometimes you need bigger character in the team. And that's, I think, what Liverpool is lacking at the moment. It's character, especially at the back, especially at centre backs. Goalkeeper, you know, it's very important. And at the moment, they don't really have the right type of players.
Well, come on, let's be blunt about this one. We can talk about control, we can talk about the overall management of a match, or you can say, is the goalkeeper and are those defenders good enough? And I think you're beginning to suggest that that might be an area where they could be stronger. Am I right?
They definitely need to strengthen, you know, at the back. But don't get me wrong, I don't think the problem will be solved, unfortunately, only by getting better players. Fans are thinking, you know, get better players, I will be okay. I don't think you will. The problem is playing at the back. You can be the best defender in the world. If you don't have the protection in front of you, you will look bad. Remember Cannavaro, he was Ballon d'Or, he went to Real Madrid. and he did look poor at Real Madrid.
He was exposed.
Exactly. So at the moment, the way Liverpool is playing under Klopp, everybody say, it's great. They score goals, fantastic, and all that. The problem is what happens when you lose the ball. You get exposed, and even with better players, you still might have the same problem.
That's a great point. A great point. And I think the viewers are picking up on that, whether it's the team as a whole or individual players.
Let's take Don's comment on Twitter as an example. He says it's frustrating, John. We as Liverpool fans can see the problems, but the club hasn't solved anything. So much spent on attackers, so little on defence. Time for something to be done about the keeper. Firstly, bringing a tried and tested stopper at the top of his game. It's the only way forward.
Well, you see, that fan you see is saying it's the individual components. But I really like what you're saying, which is it's the approach. But then again, and very quickly, last word on this one, all the good stuff about Klopp, that enthusiasm, that passion, the hugging, that's maybe not necessarily the best for the team when it comes to... They get too emotional, don't they?
Probably, yeah. Once again, you score a goal, you score a second goal. It's great, but you always have to think, be a bit more balanced, I would say. And that's it.
So what's it going to lead to? Let's have a look at the table, shall we, here, and remind ourselves what Liverpool are playing for. With Chelsea maintaining a 4-point cushion in terms of that gap from third to fourth, it really looks at the moment like a 3-team race there for fourth place. It could be 4 if Burnley bounce back from their loss and do something amazing at Old Trafford. So what I'm asking really here, Stefan, is can Liverpool hold on to that final Champions League spot? Let's come to that conclusion later on, but talk about Arsenal before we do anything else. Because, of course, the beautiful thing about Friday night's game was that it was two teams who were completely capable of doing that. Arsenal's problem seemed to be this. Everything comes back to Alexis Sanchez. They're sort of saying, well, if he's in the right frame of mind, or if he decides to stay, everything will be okay. It can't be that simple, can it?
I think Arsenal and Liverpool do more or less have the same problem. They can create, they can play well, they can score goals. But when you look back at the game at the weekend, Arsenal wasn't really better defensively. For me, it was exactly the same than Liverpool.
Why would Arsene Wenger have a player who has impressed everybody and Sead Kolasinac, yet not play him, yet play 3, yet play young Maitland-Niles in there? Can you understand it?
Not really, to be honest. But I'm not the manager. But I would not have put this lineup, to be honest. And I think Arsenal, for me, are the team who is not going to finish in the top 4. Why? Because they can't really defend, and I think they will pay the price when it comes May.
Okay, so that's one ruled out of the 3 teams. I'll get your conclusion in a minute. The viewers on Arsenal?
Yeah, this one in from Harsh Varma. He's not that harsh, actually, but he does say, I, being an Arsenal fan, feel we were both lucky to draw and to not get slaughtered and stupid to not hold the lead or to ride the luck through. End of the day, I don't see us in the top 5 this season unless some January market activity or a Sanchez change of heart takes place.
Yeah, and that must be amazing, supporting a club where you can destroy somebody, but your fans aren't entirely confident because they know you could just as easily surrender a lead as well. Consistency, and you spent so many years as a professional footballer, consistency is very hard to attain, isn't it?
It is. That's the most difficult. Playing well once, everybody can do it. Playing well over a season, or over a space of 10 games, 20 games, it's very different. But once again, I think it comes from the character you've got in the team. And when you look at the Arsenal team, talented players, young players, but do they really have, players with experience in the big moment? No, I don't think.
Very quickly, you're ruling them out of the top 4, so it looks like it probably is between Liverpool and Spurs. Who would you pick?
I would still pick Liverpool. I think they can make it.
Okay, I had a feeling you might say that one. Right, more fun and games. Yeah, it could get even sillier in terms of our Christmas special when we come back after this. Okay, so we kept things fairly sensible on this Christmas Day special, but let's have some Christmas fun. It's a time of the year for giving, and we've been asking our Fox Sports pundits to do just that. I said to them, tell us, if you had one gift to give to a Premier League player or a club, what would it be? And this is what they came up with.
Well, John, I've got a very special present to welcome a very special manager back to the Premier League. Big Sam Allardyce, who's doing a very good job at Everton. I've arranged behind the scenes to get a signed England shirt from the upcoming World Cup that's going to be sent in the mail post the World Cup. And because I'm Australian, I'm feeling very festive at this time of the year. I've also organised a signed Australian cricket shirt celebrating Australia's win in the Ashes. There you go, Big Sam, all for you.
It's my favourite time of the year and I'm feeling generous, so my present is going to go to Mauricio Pochettino. Poch, I'm going to get you something very difficult to handle, but it's going to be well worth it. Lightning quick, able to play up front with Harry Kane. He speaks a couple of languages, he speaks French, he speaks German, but he's going to be yours and you're going to unwrap him very, very delicately and he'll do a fantastic job for you. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is coming your way, Poch.
My Christmas gift would be for Crystal Palace, obviously, and it would be a new contract for Wilfried Zaha, the magic man in that Palace team who is keeping them up single-handed.
John, I'd like to give Arsene Wenger a nice retirement home in Perpignan, or if he prefers, the Angel Islington, because I'm sick of Arsenal fans being split down the middle on whether he should stay or go. Just go and be done with it. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, dearie me, Steve Scrooge Dawson with that one there. Thank you so much, guys. I would simply say, Stefan, I'd like to give Burnley Europa League football because I remember what a wonderful adventure Fulham had a few years back, and it would be special for that club. What would you go for?
I think a change of rules. I would give an extra point for scoring 3 goals or more.
Ah, so basically you're trying to get Liverpool further up the table, right? Yeah, I see what you're doing there. Michelle, what's yours?
Yeah, similar to Stefan. I'd give Manchester United 10 points so we can still talk about a title race post-Christmas.
All right.
Speaking of gifting, though, Harry Kane is delivering on all fronts. Here we go. I came across this tweet. It says, Harry Kane on Wednesday gave my son a present at Whips Cross Hospital and asked me what I wanted. I said, a hat-trick. He said, I'll see what I can do. Thank you for delivering. Harry Christmas, Santa Kane. Come on, you Spurs.
That is amazing. And he turns up and he delivers a hat-trick. He really is very, very special indeed. OK, one last comment from one of the viewers. What you got for us?
OK, Ravichandran has a special couple of gifts, actually. He says a new pair of scoring boots for Lukaku so that he'll end up as the top scorer for this Premier League season, and Dybala to Manchester United to add creativity for the rest of the season.
Well, I think Lukaku's pretty good. I think we're in the middle of an amazing, high-scoring Premier League season. Just look at the number of goals that are going to be scored. He'd have hated defending against them, I'm sure. There are goal scorers everywhere. Right, one last piece of silliness for you on the show here. We did it for Halloween. We've got to do it for Christmas. Yet we're going to go for a themed team with footballers' names that just seem right at the moment. So here we are. It's our Christmas 11 with Asmir Begovic in goal. It gets better, trust me on this. Into our defence, where I think we've got some real strength here. Angel Rangel, say no more. Slayton Baines, I'm sure he was Satan Baines, Michelle, in our Halloween team. Yes, he was. Marcus Roho-Ho, and my favourite, Fabian Elf, rounding out the back four. It is, of course, a Christmas tree formation. Santa Cazorla, sadly missed by Arsenal. Frankincense Fabregas and Mark Snowball of West Ham. Yeah, I said it got better, didn't I? Gabriel Jesus, again, inevitably. He doesn't play here anymore, but you can't leave a Robin out. And lastly, well, you'd make a song and a dance about this at this time of the year. Andy Carroll is in there. There you go. It's a nice, silly time of the year, isn't it? It's that time of the year. Did you like Christmas time? Are you a huge fan of Christmas, Stefan?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Great. Lots of gifts picked out?
Always.
Okay, and a fabulous holiday to be had here in Singapore. You know, it is wonderful to have you here, I must say, and hope you enjoy yourself here. We did ask the viewers that if they had any questions about Stefan, didn't we, Michelle?
Yes, there were a few that came in. I'll stick with this one for now. And Gussamran is asking if you enjoyed playing more alongside either Jamie Carragher or Sammy Hook.
Oh, that's a leading question, isn't it? Because Sammy was your man, wasn't he?
Yeah, played with Sammy, you know, all my with my Liverpool career. So and Cara was more or less playing right or left back at the time, so I would say Sammy.
There you go. It's been a treat, not just for the Liverpool fans to have you here. Merry Christmas, Michelle. Merry Christmas, Stefan, and Merry Christmas to all of you. Happy holidays. We'll be back very soon to talk about whatever happens on Boxing Day. Thanks for watching. See you soon.